Today, I'm going to go over the settings and tools you need to know about if you are going to get serious about getting successful on OnlyFans. Some of these things might be things that obviously everyone knows about already, but I'm going to give a bit more context about how you should be using some of these things and essentially ways that we use these tools for ourselves, for our models and our clients, for you to essentially maximize the amount of money that you make on OnlyFans and crush the competition, because OnlyFans is extremely saturated with the amount of models on there now. So there definitely should be a good amount of value in this video for you to take away, regardless of whether or not you actually know about these things. Also, make sure you stay to the end of this video where I'm going to be going over the most important and most profitable tool that you should be using with all of your clients. But let's get into it. So the first tool that I'm going to talk about is the collections. So from the minute you take over a model's account on OnlyFans, or the minute you start an account from scratch, if you're starting from scratch, of course, you should be categorizing fans into lists based on their spending habits, kinks, and anything else that would be helpful for you to be able to sell better. Starting this habit will only help you long term, so building a strategic approach with every single fan is what every OnlyFans creator and every agency should be striving for. And when you list these different fans in the collections tab based on certain time zones, or if they're a girlfriend experience fan, or spenders, or long video buyers, or whatever it is, your strategies should be tailored for every single type of fan, and having an organized list will be your saving grace for this. Lists can also be pinned to the top of your messages tab as well, so this can be ease of access for your chatters, and can also help them make sure that they're not forgetting about the spenders and responding to them when it gets really busy in the DMs. And then, like I said before, lists should be built based on certain fetishes and kinks as well. So for example, if you find out someone is a foot fetish guy, then put them in a feet folder. And then when new content is created, you can go ahead and reference this feet folder and send out like a targeted mass message or individualized messages to these fans, where you can charge for this type of content a lot more because you know it's their kink, right? So the end goal of all this in the collections tab is for you to be able to maximize the amount of revenue that you are making. Now, the next tool that I wanted to talk about is the vault folders. If you can organize your model's content into folders so that your chatting sales team can quickly and easily access the content that they need, you will make more money. The less time that your chatters are wasting sorting through the content and more time they spend in the DMs selling, and ultimately just the more money you're going to make. Now, one caveat to keep in mind here is don't go too overboard with this, with the amount of folders that you make, because that can actually have a negative effect if you have too many folders and your chatters are just scrolling through folders the whole time. But make sure to have the big ones. Like, for example, have folders for long form content, short form content with toys and no toys, feet content, anal, cosplay, oil content, stripping, BG, GG. And then we actually have like a prove your real folder, which is just like a series of poses that people ask for to prove that the model is real, like touching their nose or sticking their tongue out or doing like a peace sign, whatever it is, right? And then last but not least, sexting sets, which is essentially your moneymaker and should most likely be at the top of your vault. And when you're organizing them, make sure in each one of these sexting set folders, make sure there's not an overflow of content. Maybe have like a couple extra pieces of content for like situational purposes, but make sure it's organized in the correct order in the vault folder as well, as far as which photos to send first, second, third, and the associated price with them. The next tool to be conscious of is mass messages. Now, I'm not going to tend to spend a ton of time on this one because I've actually made a video on this in the past, and I'm going to link that in the description of this video. But mass messages are an essential way to help engage fans and build relationships, start scripts, and sell bundles to time wasters or like dormant fans. Now, another tool that you should be conscious of and paying attention to are OnlyFans Stories. Stories are a great way to push content in front of your audience. When a fan first logs into OnlyFans, the first thing that they see are the stories at the very top of the feed of the models that they're subscribed to. So I've previously mentioned in other videos that it takes hours of content to be pushed in front of your potential buyers before they become willing to commit. And OnlyFans Stories are an excellent way to do that. A couple things to note, by the way, when it comes to OnlyFans Stories is that you should make sure that message reply from subscribers is on from this so that they can just DM the model directly from the story. And also make sure to use call to actions in the story, typically asking fans to send a DM for one reason or another, like they're gonna get something out of it, whatever it is, right? Now, another tool that you should be using, and this probably needs its own video on it, honestly, but is going live. And going live can be used for several different things, but in general, it's another great way to engage fans. Going live gives you the opportunity to show the model's personality, and fans are much more likely to fall in love. They can also be highly profitable if they're done right. Certain things you can coach your model on during lives is to consistently ask for tips in very unique ways. So one thing that's pretty common is setting tip goals with the ladder approach. So the higher it gets, the more explicit thing that the model does. Don't put the end tip goal up front though. Like set it small at first, like maybe it's like a $250 tip goal and the model will do something relatively tame and not crazy. But once you hit that $250 tip goal, have her change it to like a $500 one, and then the next one 1,000, so that it's gradually increasing, right? Rather than someone coming in and seeing like a $2,000 tip goal and just nobody tips because of it. Another thing you can actually coach your models on as well is to threaten to ban non-tippers from the live to get people to tip just to stay in the live, right? And then just make it interesting, right? Like play games, spin the wheel is a great way to do things. Keep it fun, like $15 per spin, something like that. The key here is just to be creative when it comes to lives. Another setting that you should be paying close attention to is the welcome message. And this is essential because it is your initial introduction with new subscribers. So it is very important to do this right. Now, with that being said, simple is actually better than complex here. If you have some super long message with a picture or a piece of content to buy, it looks worse than if you have a super simple message just greeting the fan and asking their name in an effort to kick off just a plain conversation. People on OnlyFans are bombarded with spam and content all day, so it's actually refreshing when there is not content tied to the welcome message and we're not immediately spamming them the minute they subscribe. Another thing you should be using with all your clients as well is tracking links. Making and using tracking links is essential for all of your traffic methods so that you can understand which traffic methods are working and which are not. If you do not use traffic links and you just use the OF link, the generic one to drive traffic, you're never gonna have an idea as to where the majority of your traffic is coming from, and you're not gonna know which traffic methods to lean into. Every smart marketer lives and dies by tracking links. You can also use certain CRMs to track the LTV, which stands for the lifetime value of each fan, so you can start to determine and look at the quality of the subs, not just the quantity. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the scheduler or the OnlyFans queue. The queue will save you time when it comes to making posts on the page, as well as scheduling mass messages. You can also schedule like good morning and night messages through the queue, which is something that can sometimes be forgotten about, but it really shouldn't be, and it should never be overlooked. Just make sure that your lead chatter who's doing all this is being conscious of what they're sending and making sure to unsend messages so that your account does not look spammy. You get in a bit of trouble with some fans if you don't do that, but generally speaking, the queue will save you time. Now, the next setting that I just wanted to briefly touch on right now is not accepting messages without a tip. So in OnlyFans, you can actually set it so that people can't message you without tipping, but this isn't really worth it unless the account you have is massive, because like if she's like an influencer or something of that nature and has a bunch of different streams of income. But if you do this, you can give certain fans privileges to message without tipping, but you should just increase your chatting efforts instead of blocking people to message, because this is where your money is going to be made. All right, guys, so you've made it near the end of the video now. So the last tool that you should be extremely aware of and seriously consider using is both allotted accounts for your models who grow to a certain level, as every person on OnlyFans is allowed to have 2 verified OnlyFans accounts each. So it's a good idea to make use of this, especially once you get larger. The reason for this is to have a VIP page So like a paid page and a free page. One strategy that can be used is to have chatters on the free page strictly funnel them from that free page to the premium VIP page because they're getting, better content or just a better experience, whatever it is. You don't necessarily have to do this though. You can actually have a more subtle way to have people subscribe to the VIP page by just putting the VIP page like in the bio, or like send out mass messages, which is a little bit less subtle, of course, and then just have chatters chat regularly on the free page and sell sexting or so on and so forth. However, the reason why this is so profitable is because you basically have two different accounts that you can set up two different chatting teams on to make more money. That's pretty much it, guys. A lot of different settings to be conscious of, but any good agency should be using all of these to their maximum potential so that you can absolutely out-earn as many people as possible and give your models excellent results. But other than that, like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.